What should AFC Bournemouth do with Alex Scott this summer? Okay, it's all starting to heat up around Alex Scott this summer. Now, yesterday Chelsea had a bid rejected of £64 million for Alex Scott, which does surprise me a little bit from a Bournemouth perspective, because I don't really think we'd be able to push much more money for him than that, because he does only have 2 years left on his current deal and it looks like he's not going to sign a new contract. So clubs will be aware of that and they'll say, well, look, 64 million, if that's how high Chelsea are going to go, who are notorious overspenders, then you're not likely to see another club come in for more than that. Whether Chelsea maybe come back with 70 million, that's a possibility, but it does look like they're exploring the midfield market as reported by Ben Jacobs here. Now, maybe if they do sell Enzo Fernandez, they might come back with a bit more money for Scott. I'm not too sure, but looks like he's not guaranteed to be sold, like I say, from this tweet from Ben Jacobs. But from a Bournemouth fan perspective, or even like a Bournemouth fan and club perspective, what do we think the best option is with Scott this summer? Do we sell him? Do we keep him? It's tough because as a fan, I want him to stay, obviously. I love him. I think we need him for the Europa League if we want to go far in that. Obviously, cup competitions, like he is a key part of our team. And it'd be tricky just to then ask Tort to come in and do what he did last summer in his first, proper season in the Prem. So, look, as a fan, I'd love to keep him. Obviously, the club seem to want to keep him. I mean, I don't think they've necessarily rejected this bid in hoping that Chelsea come back with more money, because, like I said, it's widely reported that we do want him to stay. Obviously, we've offered him like a bigger contract with a release clause next summer, which doesn't seem to entice Scott. But yeah, so I think the club want to keep him. Obviously, us fans want him to stay. I know a few people are like, oh, he's not respecting us by not signing a new deal and whatnot, which I do disagree with. I don't think he's trying to disrespect us. I think he's just trying to put himself in the best position, which he naturally would if he doesn't sign a contract and goes next summer for, probably half the amount we're wanting from now. He'll get a lot more in terms of actual signing on bonuses, wages, etc., because another club is paying a much less of a transfer fee. So I don't think he's necessarily like trying to stiff the club. I think he's just trying to put himself in the best position, which we all would in this scenario. I know we all love Bournemouth, so in our heads we'd sign a new contract and know what's best for the club. But in Scott's mind, he's just trying to put himself in a good spot. So I'm not saying I'm happy with this outcome, but I understand it. I think obviously from a club perspective, we probably wouldn't expect to keep him more than one more season anyway. So putting in a release clause for next summer kind of makes sense for both sides. Just means Scott gets less money. So it just depends on how he feels. And clearly he's not going to do us a favour in that regard. But yeah, I don't know where or how this is going to end, because if Chelsea do come back with 70 million plus, I do think the club would then say, well, look, as much as we really do want to keep him, 70 million is a lot, and for a club like Bournemouth, we can't really afford to let players leave for free or even like a little amount than what we should get for him. I think we paid 25 million. If we wait a year, when he's got 1 year left on his deal, we'll probably only get maybe 35, 40, which isn't really much of a profit. I do think Bristol have a selling clause. I'm not too sure about that, so that will obviously reduce our own profit. So yeah, I think I think if a bigger bid comes in, Bournemouth might take that. But yeah, I don't know where we go from here. We'll see if any other clubs maybe look at that and say, oh, we'd happily pay more than 64 million for Scott. We'll put in a bid. I don't know. In terms of whether we get a replacement in or we just trust Tort, I also don't know about that. If we get a nice summer, we might say, well, we need more midfield experience to play for us in Europe and obviously both in the league as well. So we might go and explore another deal there. I don't know if we'll start seeing rumours pop up. BBC also posted the article basically saying very similar things. Arsenal, United, Tottenham, City are also interested. So who knows, maybe we'll see some bids popping up. Another interesting thing that I've sort of seen in the last hour or so is that apparently Scott does actually fancy Chelsea as a destination for his next club, and he's open to a move now. Yet again, I don't necessarily think that's him pushing to leave, like he's determined to leave now. I think he just, he's seen Chelsea a bit for him. He's like, oh, I wouldn't mind going to Chelsea right now. Xabi Alonso, exciting project, playing with Palmer, Rodgers. I don't really know where he fits into that Chelsea midfield though, especially if Enzo doesn't end up leaving, because you've obviously got Caicedo, Enzo that's, play together in that midfield, sort of 6 and 8 roles, and then you've got obviously probably Palmer or Rodgers in a 10. So if they all stay, it doesn't really make sense for Scott, in my opinion, especially as they're only not in Europe, so there's not going to be much squad rotation, you would think. Obviously, he's a Tottenham fan, so maybe if they come with a big bid, they've spent big money this summer, he might be like, oh, yeah, I'll go to my boyhood or my club I support. Arsenal, United, I don't know, United, I'm not sure. There was heavy links with them earlier on. That seems to have cooled off. Obviously, they've signed Tielemans and Santos. I do expect them to sign another midfielder, but I don't know if it'll be Scott. Arsenal as well are interested in Bruno Guimaraes. If they get Bruno, I don't know if they'd go for Scott, because they've also got a pretty stacked midfield. So, and City, yeah, again, unless something crazy happens, they sell Rodri and whatever, maybe he could go there. But yeah, I think Chelsea, in terms of, like, I could see them pursuing him the most if Enzo does go. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it makes sense on Scott level. I think Scott would be happy to stay for another season. I think people are thinking, oh, because he's not signing a new contract, he doesn't want to be here. I don't really agree with that. I think, in probably Scott's mind, his best option is to stay for another season, not sign a new contract, get some European experience, with Bournemouth. I mean, he only has had one top season. He's struggled a bit with injuries, so just make sure that consistency's there. And then you're going into 1 year left on your deal. If you have another good season like you did this time, clubs might even be willing to give you even more wages and a bigger signing on bonus. Like, even, you never know, clubs like Real Madrid or Barcelona might come knocking as well if he has another, like I say, a season like this again, and you start to see some consistency. So Scott could also be like, well, it's in my best interest really to stay. Whether the club allow that to happen, because right now their stance is obviously, I want to say, but if he keeps pushing back on those contract offers, and maybe no other club comes back in for him, then maybe he does end up signing. And I just don't know what's going to happen. It's interesting. I think from a fan perspective, we should keep him. Club perspective, I think you have to sell him. I think you should probably take a £70 million bid if it does come in, because you're not going to get anywhere near that next summer, and a club like Bournemouth need to make money and profit. From a Scott perspective, like I say, it probably makes sense for him to stay, but I also think it's always, an attractive prospect going to play for a top 6 side. Yeah, we'll see. One to watch for sure. I think we're going to see a lot more about this, obviously, over the next few days. Maybe Scott will start pushing even more for a move. Maybe Bournemouth will become more open to a move if they see that, he wants to leave. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on this one. If you want to see more Bournemouth-related content, please subscribe. We've obviously got some Antonio Silva news, hopefully pending, a bit of positive news. Maybe if Scott does end up going, we might see more rumours around other midfielders as well. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe to see that. Drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one.